Hey everyone, welcome back to the Automotive Flux channel. So I'm going to be getting into automation again today. Last week I made this wide boy. It's got a pretty thick engine, let me show you. It's a 4.1 liter V10 twin turbo with a decent amount of power. It's got 1935 horsepower. And it also happens to rev up to 12,000 RPM, which is awesome. So I decided in the last video that I'd be putting this into something new today, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So this being a 4-liter V10, it doesn't just fit in any car. It kind of works best with cars that are rear or mid-engined. So I picked out a few options for us today, and we're actually going to make two cars because I want to see the performance potential of this vehicle. And the first thing is just down here. By the way, I finally got some mods in the beta, so we have some pretty darn cool cars that we can use in some upcoming videos, but one of the things I'm going to be using is actually one of the mods. It's these F1 cars here, specifically the Lotus 78 F1 car from 1973. Yes, please. So this car looks a little bit awkward in automation, and a lot of the reason for that is just because the chassis is sticking out, so we're gonna have to hide that, but no worries there. Basically I'm just gonna go carbon fiber, maybe a monocoque chassis, carbon fiber again. I'm gonna try and make it as race car-esque as we possibly can, not at all accurate to what this car was originally. And just to match our other design, it's going to be a mid-longitudinal engine. That other car is one as well. Front suspension, I'm going to make it double wishbone because otherwise the push rods will stick through the body. I'm not sure if that's really accurate. So we'll go double wishbone and push rod on the back. So it's easy to just put an engine in one of these cars. You just go here, pick the one we want, which is the big nitro gas. I'm not good at naming engines. The game isn't popping up with any warnings, so that's generally a good sign. It basically just means that I'm not completely out to lunch here with this engine in this car. We do have a little bit of maneuverability with the body, but the engine is going to be out here, which is cool. I'm not going to be able to do very much to this car. Overall, it's pretty much set in stone. One of the techniques I've been seeing on the Discord is to just kind of paint the car a very basic color, something like a little bit darker than this, I guess. Maybe plastic is a better option because you want it to be matte for this. But yeah, this way we'll be able to see the curves of the car and be able to make some proper adjustments to it with those curves. The black paint last time was covering everything up, so I couldn't see all the small errors. But here's the biggest key to this. We need to go into the advanced trim and hide the chassis because yes, otherwise things are going to look jank. And I'm realizing now that doing that makes these float in the middle of nowhere. So I guess we are going back to push rod in the front because otherwise it's just going to look off. And in order to see the actual engine in the car, we're going here. And yeah, it's massive. It's definitely worthy of the back of this thing. It actually fits really, really well. The exhaust is going to be a problem, but the pipes are just huge, so there's not really any getting around that. The intake is covered up by this little piece of trim. It's not very little right now, but that piece of trim there, so maybe I'll fix that too. This piece here is the intercooler sticking out of the car, so I'm going to have to turn off the intake most likely. There we go, so that's the engine in the car, looking pretty darn awesome. Now one thing I want to do before we get into the actual design of it, because this being an F1 car, there's not really much I can add. It's mostly just going to be stickers, I think, because I don't want to really disrupt the flow of this vehicle. Overall, it's pretty much perfect is what I'm trying to say. So let's give it some decent stuff here. Let's go dual clutch, 7-speed. I don't know, it's just very modern modern pieces. It claims it can possibly do up to 600, which is insane. So we'll see if that's actually possible. I'm going to go electric LSD because this is rear wheel drive and it's probably going to be an absolute handful on the track. So I'll just keep it there. Let's do radials, let's do semi-slicks, let's do tires. This is very important. Big wheels, oh yes, but if we have massive wheels, they just kind of look off, honestly. Maybe it's the rim size, just the overall wheel size in general, they're just too big. Okay, I've gone for smaller wheels at the front and bigger wheels at the back. using some of the new advanced settings you can use in the alpha, which is the version of the game that I'm currently using. But I'm hopeful that that works out. We'll see how it does in terms of the graphs and stuff, but yeah. Moving forwards here, actually, now that we have the wheels set, maybe we can go back and do some of this fixture stuff, because the wheels themselves are going to be interesting. I'm not totally sure what I want to go with. Okay, I pulled up a picture of the actual car, and it seems like the rims are the same size on both the front and the back, at least in terms of diameter, like this way. But the tires on the back are huge in comparison to the tires on the front, so I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Like, this here is probably a little bit more realistic. The rims are still not right, but this might be it. Okay, we've got some really sweet rotoform wheels that somebody's made. Rotiform, maybe? Not sure how to pronounce that. They're not actually too far off from the picture I'm looking at in terms of what the wheels are. So that's pretty exciting, and I think it's going to work for this application. This is back in the day when F1 cars were absolutely insane, and yeah, I think that this car is going to be no exception to that rule. Now, one of the big things that we need, obviously, is a huge wing to fill in the gaps. There are a lot more options now that I've got proper stuff here. A lot more options. So this is the wing off of a Ferrari, apparently. Ferrari 312T wing, but it is relatively close to what I need. It's not perfectly accurate, but it's also not too far off either. I'm going to go with that for now. The one that I'm looking at is a straight cut, but it does have a similar design to this. And that is a wicked looking car. Really cool. Really, really cool. So I've taken the liberty of adding in a crash test dummy to the inside of the car, something I've never done before for this, but it's kind of fun. And also I added the real way that this thing moves forward here. Yeah, I'm going slowly and adding some details in to try to make it look decent. Remember when I said I was making two cars today? That might not be true. We'll just slap the engine in something quickly other than this car just to have a comparison. But I'm going to put some time and effort into this because I do think it has some potential. Now, the thing that I'm doing here is I'm trying to make a decent wing. I might have to make one custom because based on the look that I'm seeing here in the picture, this is reasonably close, but it's still fairly far off. None of these wings just match it perfectly, so it's gonna have to be either this or something custom made somehow. Yeah, so something a little sharper would be better, but I think that this is gonna... Oh wow, that's really crooked. Okay, maybe I need to do a bit better than that. Okay, that looks a lot better, but it's still really jank. How the heck did I make this work? Oh my goodness, it took like 400 years, but I finally made myself a custom wing. That was interesting, but... Oh man, okay. One thing off the to-do list. Let's make some small stuff here. Okay, there's the front arrow. That's unique to say the least. It'll look better when it's black, because yes, this car is going to eventually be black. Now, what I want to do, and what I'm struggling to do, I guess, is try and make a replica. It's not going to be even close, but I can try. There's a lot of fancy stuff hidden in here, including full-on real F1 style diffusers and splitters and things. I don't think I can use any of that with this build. We're going very, very simple, which makes things a lot easier for me. Like this, for example, isn't quite right, but I think it does a decent job of filling in the gap that I want it to, so that's the only reason why it's there, just because it fills in the gap properly. Okay, and with that, I think I'm ready to actually paint the car. Yeah, this is turning into a real F1 build, isn't it? Originally, this was just supposed to be an engine test, but you know what? I'm kind of into it today. Let's just work it. Exhaust, I basically just put some tips together-ish, just as close as reasonably possible, and tried to make the pipes look different and interesting. This being a big twin turbo, it's a little bit difficult to fit all that stuff in. Funnily enough, the way that it works is not really that bad. I mean, you wouldn't want the exhaust this close to your suspension, but it actually looks semi-functional, so yeah, not bad. This thing here is just grabbing onto nothing though, so we're gonna have to suspend our disbelief a little bit. Now, because I have so many more mods, we also have a ton of badges, so many badges that we can use to make our own livery, including some ones from my channel here. Yes, these have been carried over from the previous version. So yeah, very, very happy to see that is still around. I haven't had them for a long time, as ironic as that is. But anyway, let's make a custom skin for this thing, and first thing is probably going to be a custom paint job because yeah, I gotta get something down on here. Something that isn't going to be possible is the cancel that. We are going to be able to get the gold pinstripes. Yes, thank you to the builder of this body for thinking about that. Oh yeah, I did find a paint that's iridescent, which is ridiculous but also extremely cool, and I'm very curious to see if it'll get into BeamNG like this. Probably not. But yeah, that is every single color at once. Very cool. Right, so the entire car is black, which is the way that it should be at this point, but because of the pinstripe stuff, we can go ahead and just make a really cool little gold paint color. And yeah, just like that, it shines perfectly. So the author of this mod knew what they were doing, and that might be cause to delete this thing on the side. Yeah, probably. Or just modify it so it's even lower. This car is getting lower by the millisecond here, but it's actually pretty darn awesome. I don't want to hide that, I just want to raise and lower it so we can get a sense of how far it is off the ground without any suspension modification. It's sitting pretty darn low, as it should be. Alright, let's get back into the fixtures, specifically those badges. I want to try and make something fun. I'm honestly terrible with these, as you could probably tell from some of my messing around in the past. We have a bunch of Canadian ones, which is cool. I'm not sure if we have any more flags of the world, though. That would be nice. Oh, wow, we got so many text options here. Ooh, that is, yeah, that would have been useful a while ago. This text right here seems to fit pretty nicely, but unfortunately it seems like it only comes in multiple different variants. No gold colored text for us from the looks of things, but I really do like it. It reminds me of the old Marlboro logo. I think that's what that brand is, but I'm gonna place all this stuff by hand. I want to see. Oh, it fixes it. Yes, perfect. Okay, let's make up a new racing thing. This is fun. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm gonna try to put it on a little bit of an angle, make it a little bit bigger, and I think that's that. This text, though, we're gonna have to put it in a few other places. Now, we could go for the classic Lotus stuff, but the reality is that this car is not a real Lotus. It is very much destroyed by me and my terribleness. Also the trim. For some reason, yeah, that trim there is not quite right, so we'll fix that quickly. Oh yeah, I forgot to paint the wheels. Bit of an oversight, but let me just quickly do that. Yeah, these wheels don't paint quite right, but I'm gonna go with gold on the inside, silver on the outside, so we still get that touch of gold. But it's, yeah, a little bit awkward, I guess. Maybe we can make the lip gold as well. Yeah, no, that actually brings it all together, so perfect right there. What is this? Who is this? And why should I stick them to my car? Actually, why should I not stick them to my car? What is going on here? I love how this flag is called Welsh nationalism. Oh, goodness. You know what? It is the day after Canada Day as I film this, so you know what it has to be is we're going for some of that Canadian nationalism here. We don't have that much to work with, but I'm going to try some Canadian heavy industries flags, and that'll hopefully be what it takes to make this thing look decent and not at all awful. Although these are thick, so maybe that's not going to work out the way I want. Just for fun, because I like messing around, I'm going to take the Union Jack off there and I'm going to put the Welsh flag on. Yes, this is going to be the Welsh version. That is very out of place, but also very, very funny. So I'm going to also put one here. This is just getting worse by the second. Oh, never mind. I just found the Canadian flag. Welsh flag might get kicked off. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make it a hybrid. There we go. Canadian and Welsh at the same time. How is that possible? Alright, there we go. So a few little pieces in. We got my logo, big Canada logo, flags, and now a lot more text required. Oh yeah, you can absolutely just have floating text in this, by the way. You could just stick that there and have that on nothing and get away with it. Nobody's stopping you. There we go. We got that on the back of there, so I can keep that in mind for the future. And I'm going to also put it on the very front of the car too. Although I think it's going to have to be 3 pieces of text. Now we got to pick a sponsor, and I'm not sure who I want to be sponsored by. We do have a few options, quite a few options here. A lot of different sort of fake versions of real brands, but not all of them I am, well, okay, Intel. Not all of them I'm familiar with. Microsoft is a funny one. What about, something in white probably. I'm going to do Motoil because the original car here as pictured is sponsored by Valvoline, or Valvoline, which is oil. So let's just go ahead with this. And unfortunately, these don't replicate on both sides. That is a pain. Super easy way to get these to match up is just to have them mirrored and then just put one on the other side in the same place. I think I just have to tilt it a little bit there. Now we have it awkwardly mirrored, but all we need to do is just go over to this one, get rid of the mirroring, and it's on both sides. Takes a little bit of time, but it's fairly easy. Yeah, just a couple more, and I think it'll be time to try this thing out in BeamNG. Alright, it looks kind of lame, to be honest. It does not look quite as the other car does, especially missing the gold. That it is missing quite a lot of gold, but it's okay. I think overall the car looks decent, and it should be able to drive decently as well. No sponsors or anything on the back, and I haven't got anything on the sides, but we're overall doing pretty good. A few little details here and there kind of make up for that. So let's get into the actual design of the drivetrain. It's been a while, but it's dual clutch, 7-speed, 541, I guess. Apparently the sticky tires are lowering our top speed by a decent amount, but it's not like we really needed to do that much more anyways. This needs to be up a little bit, but I can guarantee that wheel spin is going to be a problem. But yeah, overall, this is going to have to stay fairly similar. It's going to be difficult to get this thing to work right. I'm actually going to give this a full-on race diffuser, which means we're going to have to tune wing angles and stuff, which I haven't been doing at all recently, so that's going to be fun. 1 seat and super basic, no infotainment, and we'll turn up the quality. No power steering. Oh, this is tough. No traction aids. This is going to be a disaster, and we'll give it advanced 20 safety to kind of replicate the safety features it would have, even though realistically, back in the 70s when this was made, I don't think they had much. Interesting thing here that I just noticed, the weight distribution changes the engine location. So if you want to have a slightly different engine location, you can change this slider here. I didn't think that that was even a thing. However, we actually do want it more on the back. We'll get to that in a bit. I'm going to do standard springs with adaptive dampers and active sway bars. It's not looking great. It seems to be having some issues. Downforce is ridiculous, probably because it has a massive wing and then 2 more at the front and a little bit on the sides as well. The downforce on this is going to be great. It says it's topping, bottoming out at high speed, which is funny. Let's go for a race preset. That might change a few things and make stuff worse or better, probably worse most of the time. And I'm just going to lower the car pretty much down all the way as well. So the brakes are suffering from brake fade. I think I can fix that just by making them bigger. Wheel spin, downforce, and then oversteer. It's actually not very sporty, and it's really not very drivable either, which is funny, but that is to be expected. I didn't increase the brake size. I'm thinking I can fix things just by doing that. And probably that as well. Have just massive rear brakes. Still suffering from brake fade, so we'll go up in the pad type. This is going to be some pretty insane power. 6 pistons on the front and the back, full 245. I guess because the rims are so small, we can't really have huge brakes, but yeah, that's going to be rough. The backs don't need to be as big as I have them, but the fronts definitely need to be bigger. So maybe some front force. Yeah, 150% front brake force, maybe 145 or something like that is what it's going to take. Right, so if we want to fix this, it's going to end up messing with the way that the car looks, so I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to leave it as is, and we're just going to roll with it, because at this point I think that's fine. Aerodynamics, actually, maybe the, where is that stuff? The weight balance might be able to help with the wheel spin. Putting it all the way to the rear actually doesn't help that much. Putting it all the way to the front also doesn't help that much, but the front does look better, so I'm just going to actually have the weight distribution all the way forwards, which is going to make this car even more ridiculous. Alright, aerodynamics, we actually have a huge amount of downforce, which is awesome, and that is probably what's limiting our top speed as shown here. Well, now we're doing 620. Let me see if I can get a bit more out of it. Okay, just like that, 605.4, and then spacing somewhere lower possibly. It's, yeah, I don't know. That car is going to be absolutely insane when we drive it. Yeah, it's good right there. It's not bad right there. There aren't any crazy dips in the graph or anything like that, so yeah, I'm going to turn down the downforce a little bit, but not too much, because I want to make it drivable. Or we could just max out the downforce and just have some insane stuff. the cornering around a 200-meter circle, 1.6 Gs. Holy moly, it has massive oversteer issues. Yeah, that's a little bit too much fun. I'm just going to go halfway, just as it was, and just pray that it doesn't spin out immediately. But that would be more realistic, wouldn't it? Like, the reality of these cars is they spin out constantly. I kind of feel like these older F1 cars were just constantly trying to kill people. Like, that is basically what they were made for. No mercy either. Well, I guess the dual clutch gives me a bit of mercy, and it's not exactly realistic, but 1935 horsepower, boys. This is going to be a ripper. Let's see how it does in BeamNG. Hey everyone, so welcome to BeamNG. There's a little surprise for you back there, but don't look at that yet. We're focusing right now on the big boy Lotus. Now, there was an error when I exported it, and I was worried that it wouldn't work. So I managed to, well, it wasn't a managing thing. I just decided to make two versions of it. We got this version right here. Oh, sorry, I'm dropping stuff. And then there's a second version as well. I believe that this is the second version, which the fixtures on it are ticked as unbreakable. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to mean in terms of the drivability of it, but I was hoping that that would make it at least a little bit more stable. So we might not get the full BeamNG crashing experience is what I'm trying to say, but that's alright. Let's just crash it into something just to see what happens. The fixtures probably won't go anywhere. Yeah, they don't fly off, but they definitely do bend and stuff, so there's something to keep in mind, I guess. So how does the car drive? Well, it actually is a lot better than I thought. It's almost like this engine was made for an F1 car, because it is absolutely ridiculous, and the wheel spin is off the charts. The wheels on this are huge, but it's not going to be enough to make it drivable in any sense. It is just way out of control, so much so that it pops tires, and it's just a wild vehicle. Which means that I had to make something even more wild for it to fight against in a little bit of a challenge here today, because you know what, these videos are already extremely long at this point, and I figure why not make them a little longer and have a drag race contest. Me versus this dragster right here that I just made about 10 minutes ago that actually happens to have the same engine. Yes, that's right, two cars, same engine. I don't know the weight of that one, I didn't check. But I also don't know the weight of this one. I also didn't check. It's, yeah, anybody could win this, and the reality is that I have no idea who's actually going to win. So the Dragster is an interesting car. The view on it is just massive. And also, it appears that the front doesn't work either. Oh, okay, maybe this is a fail. Oh, come on. I just wanted to make something reasonable. But the engine doesn't move. Oh, there we go. I know the engine is good, like I've used it in a bunch of cars, but the fact that this thing is snow plowing is not a great sign, and yeah, it probably needs a specific front setup to work, and I have not had that, I've not got that down, so obviously it's just broken. Unfortunate, but I don't think I'm going to be racing this car. We'll race it against its all-wheel drive brethren. How about that? Alright, here we are at the, I've got to restart the engine here. Here we are at the drag strip. Let's see what I can do. So it's the grid map V2 drag strip. I've done a few different times on this. The best one I've been able to do was 7.269, and that was with the fastest car that I have, which is pretty ridiculous. Let's just do a play on this and yeah, load it up and see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to race the car from last week's video, the Wide Boy. Now this thing is all-wheel drive, as you can see, DCT. It's a little bit nuts. It's going to be very, very hard to beat it in this rear-wheel drive beast, but I do want to give it a shot. Same engine in that car as this car, not tuned differently. The gears are going to be different, but yeah, this is going to be a bit of a disaster. Let's go S1. I'm going to line that up there. If they can line up that car, that would be good. Oh, we're quick. Oh my goodness. That is ridiculously fast. No! Into the wall, and I still managed a 6.9. Oh my goodness. That is insane. Yikes. I didn't expect it to do that well. I'm very curious to see how it'll do. Well, okay, this guy's coming directly for me. After the win, he's not very pleased. But I'm very curious to see what it'll do with me not crashing into the wall. And there goes the AI. So something I've just discovered is that the car will burn both tires even if you just take it easy. Both rear tires will pop, which is unfortunate. So I'm just going to quickly jump into the settings, and I want to see if I can tune it a little bit. Now, I didn't do this for the other one. The PSI is at 23. Holy moly, that is not a lot. Let's just turn it down to like 5. I don't know. Let's see if it'll pop the tires at 5 PSI. That's barely anything for big wheels like this. I know that a lot of drag cars, their tires are meant to flex considerably, so I'm kind of curious if this makes any difference for us. So since we know that this car is unbeatable, I'm just gonna do it against itself. I feel like that's probably the best option. I'm gonna run this through all the way to here, up into S1, just maxing the RPM, which is probably not the best start in the world, but it is a quick start. And off the line we go. Oh my goodness. Up into the air, and there's no chance I'm winning this. I'm curious though to see what kind of time the AI is gonna be able to get. If I can even finish. It's probably going to get DQ'd because I crossed the line. 7.7 and I get a 20. Yikes. Okay, so it has trouble resetting this car, which is unfortunate, but I think we can kind of see what's happening regardless. Like, the car is so fast with low PSI on this ground that it is just gone as soon as you hit the throttle. But it seems like the wheels aren't... Never mind. I spoke far too soon on that one. You know what though, overall I think this car is pretty darn good. It runs pretty well, it is ridiculously fast, too fast for its own good, and it sort of just proves the strength of this particular engine that I've made, and it's fun to see it in so many different applications. If you want to use it for something, just let me know and I'll post it up in the Discord. I was thinking though that I want to put it into a bus. I have no particular reason for wanting to do that, but I just want to see what 1935 horsepower can do with a V10, 12,000 RPM in something that is that heavy. Could be a lot of fun. But let's give it another big rev, and boom, and drive this time. Off the line and immediately into the wall. Yeah, there is not much you can do to keep hold of this thing. It is an absolute monster. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more stuff like this. I've been posting at least 1 video a week. I did 2 this week, and there's a lawn cutting simulator or lawn mowing simulator video if you want to see it. Hardly anybody's watched that one, so I'd encourage you to go see it. It's pretty good, I think. I mean, I wouldn't have posted it otherwise. But yeah, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Join button is there too if you want to become a supporter or an advanced supporter. Other than that though, guys, thank you for your watching of this video. I appreciate you all a lot, and yeah, see you again next time. Just got to take some time to thank those who have chosen to support this channel via the join button. Overlord has crested 32 months on this channel. QT Bear, another 30. Some of you have been here for a long time, and I just want to thank you for that. So we have, as previously stated, Overlord, QT Bear, Terrio 1, J Pope, Davis Heister, the German Dude, Nat64, Sinlab, Goofy Plays, Badger, Phoenix Shark, and Baja Blast. I appreciate you guys a lot. Yeah, you're kind of bankrolling the whole channel at this point, so thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you again next time, and yeah, hopefully I'll be back into streaming soon. We'll see. We will see.